So the mainstream news has been talking about an increase in heart attacks amongst the younger groups of people, and they're finding it a bit weird since this article came out, the fact of the matter that it's a 30% increase amongst the age range of people from 25 to 44. Now, these heart complications and heart attacks were actually going down prior to 2020 through 2022. What happened during those years that might have caused this? Oh, that's right. Coronavirus. That thing that only could have occurred naturally. Yes. There's no other possibilities in this modern day scientific world full of advanced science that possibly could have came from it all. No, not one bit. Good old government and the mainstream media have been pushing that story on high blast since the old pandemic started. Speaking of the mainstream media, they're kind of having a hard time figuring out what this whole issue that led to these rise in heart attacks could have been, and kind of just really pushing one story or one particular topic, despite the fact during the time that this was occurring, there were so many other things going on too, or quite a few others. But before we get more into this though, cue intro. The mainstream media are having a hard time talking about this and kind of just want to put the blame on one particular thing. Not really the fact of, I don't know, how there might have been a lack of proper care around a pandemic. I wonder why. Not like they have a certain agenda they generally need to promote, so that way they can keep getting money from certain sponsor. Now let's see what they have to say over here on CBS this time.
Heart attack deaths have become more common across all age groups since the start of the coronavirus pandemic.
But a recent study found that young people are actually most at risk in this case. According to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, the number of heart attack deaths among 25 to 44-year-olds in the U.S. over the first 2 years of the pandemic was 30% higher than predicted.
So there was a drop in heart problems, and then they miraculously shot up in 2020, 2022? I'm shocked they're actually admitting this. Could it really be just COVID though? Could the rise in suicides, drug overdoses, and mental health issues that seemingly shot up since 2020 possibly be connected to this too? You know what else it could be from? The fact that you guys haven't hit the like button or smashed the fuck out of that subscribe button yet. Really could be from that too. All joking aside though, my dudes, it really does help us out and helps to get this information out to even more people out there, to let them know it's okay to question these things and see what's actually happening out there, unfiltered and uncensored. But with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right back on into the video. Or is it maybe related to excess stress caused by lockdowns, draconian policies centered around that, people not being able to exercise, as well as, you know, being cooped up all day? Or maybe is the biggest reason possible because of people getting under-tested and proven experimental jabs, especially when they got more than one, and also especially to keep their jobs due to the threat of being fired otherwise if they did not get them. Mind you, that's against international law, a little something called the Nuremberg Code, and its first section under something called coercion. Cannot coerce people into getting experimental vaccines or any sort of experimental medical procedure by threatening to fire them, by bribery, and a couple other things. Now, why do you think these heart attack rates in such an uncommon age range area have gone up? Let us know in the comment section down below. Now, mind you, I cannot decline that COVID, the illness itself, had something to do with people dying more of heart-based problems during this time. I'm not stupid. Like, that's always a possibility, and I feel like it was proven at least a little bit, you know, but it can't be the sole reason why.
I think the fact that you're seeing such a big increase specifically in the youngest age group, so the 25 to 44-year-olds, you saw this 30% increase in the risk of death from heart attack. And that really is quite striking. That's not a group, an age group in which you normally see heart attacks, much less dying.
Huh. No shit. You don't say.
To do a study like this, you look at the years prior to the pandemic and the typical rate of heart attack death in that age group, and then you see it increase, and you wonder what's the new variable. And so the pandemic is that new variable.
So these researchers looked at 10 years of data across the U.S., all the death certificates that get filed with the CDC, that data. And so what they saw is prior to the pandemic, heart attack deaths were actually dropping. And then that trend reverses, and you see those deaths go up, especially among that youngest age group during the pandemic.
Do we know why why younger people might be more at risk, or?
We don't know for sure.
Now, see how CBS is kind of beating around the bush about this stuff? But at least, they brought up the whole part of that it could be due to the pandemic. It's not like that was pretty obvious to begin with if you've been paying attention to all this stuff going on and not just blindly trusting what the government and the mainstream media put out there for you. Now, again, what was going on around this time when all this started happening? Specifically during that time of 2020 to 2022, it's what they've been calling a pandemic, which included, 1, lockdowns, which was cooping people up, stripping them of social interaction for mental health, which made suicides plus drug overdoses, etc., go up significantly. Also keeping many from going outside to exercise because of the fear/paranoia they programmed into people towards COVID, which would make them more prone to eating more / have a harder time maintaining healthier weights. Then the next thing was draconian-like mask policies, which were making people wear masks, which made them breathe in less oxygen, the thing that gives you life, and more carbon dioxide instead, which makes you sick. Also proven that the masks were barely effective. Even Fauci has admitted it to close people around him that they are essentially not very effective. Then they were pushing / giving jabs also, which were severely undertested, not to mention also linked to heart attacks / deaths. But they covered that up and said anybody who said stuff like that was a loony bin conspiracy theorist. In addition, people were all so brainwashed and made to believe that these experimental vaccines were so safe, they just kept promoting everywhere, even though they weren't fully FDA approved yet. People were saying they're A-okay to just take. For example, to link a vaccine to a death, the rapper DMX died within a week after getting the Pfizer vaccine. Just 1 dose of it. Now, mind you, he's also old and had a bunch of other complications too from drugs, but it wasn't until directly after he got that vaccine that he died. And he wasn't the only person who reported having significant problems with it neither. But they covered up any bit of it that was related to deaths and it's just really rare cases. And let's look at the FDA's website too, because they're saying it even. In April 2021, increased cases of myocarditis and pericarditis were reported in the United States after mRNA COVID-19 vaccination, Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna. And those were the fully FDA approved ones after a whole year and a half. Shocker. It's almost like some people out there have been saying that you just shouldn't so blindly trust these and get them, especially when they haven't gone through rigorous testing like they normally would of over 5 to 10 years, by the way. It doesn't just magically speed up to 6 months. Like, you should definitely take it with a significant grain of salt before you do it. Then look at these too. An increase of over 25% was detected in both call types during January through May 2021 compared with the years 2019 to 2020. Using negative binomial regression models, the weekly emergency call counts were significantly associated with the rates of first and second vaccine doses administered to this age group, but were not with COVID-19 infection rates. While not establishing causal relationships, the findings raised concerns regarding vaccine-induced undetected severe cardiovascular side effects and underscore the already established causal relationship between vaccines and myocarditis, a frequent cause of unexpected cardiac arrest in young individuals. The study by the Ministry of Health in Israel, a country with one of the highest vaccination rates in the world, assesses the risk of myocarditis after receiving the second vaccine dose between 1 in 3,000 to 1 in 6,000 in men of ages 16 to 24 and 1 in 120,000 in men under 30. A follow-up study by the U.S. Center of Disease Control, CDC, based on the VAERS and V-Safe self-reporting systems, further confirms these findings. The CDC has recently posted a warning regarding a vaccine-related risk of myocarditis, but still maintain their recommendation to vaccinate young individuals and children over 12. Similar concerns are reflected in recent Food and Drug Administration approval to the Pfizer vaccine that requires several follow studies on the short and long-term effects of myocarditis in young individuals. Would you imagine that? They were concerned about it, and it's fully FDA approved and approved by the CDC. Other countries investigating this with one of the highest records of vaccination are saying that it's pretty experimental and cause for concern. But the FDA, mainstream media, and good old Joe and Fauci say it's okay, so we should just go ahead and get this completely experimental jab. Yahoo! While the benefits of COVID-19 vaccination are clear, especially for populations at great risk of developing serious and potentially life-threatening illness, it is important to better understand the potential risks to minimize potential harm. However, assessing the connection between myocarditis and other potential cardiovascular conditions and the COVID-19 vaccines is challenging. First, self-reporting systems of adverse events are known to have self-reporting bias and both under and over-reporting problems. Oh wow, imagine that. There's bias towards it. It's almost like they're biased towards the people that fund them or their own companies, so they can do what again? Maybe make profits instead of actually helping people? Oh no, they'd never do that. They're such good people. They've never done that in the past, not one bit. Even the study from Israel that is based on more proactive data collection mentions that some of the potentially relevant cases were not fully investigated. Well, why would they do that? Dr. Leanna Wen was criticized for admitting that the medical community is overcounting the amount of COVID deaths and hospitalizations. It's kind of like we've been saying that here on this channel for a minute, but us or actually any medical professionals that said that were heavily criticized, ostracized, blacklisted, shadow banned off of platforms, or just completely freaking degraded by society simply for presenting factual information, or even regardless of if it's that or not, an opinion which is very valid. Now, why would the government and those currently in power, in addition to the mainstream media, be doing stuff like this? Why would they act like that towards people? Could it maybe be that they're getting funding from those companies that produce the vaccines? Or that it would destroy the whole narrative if people actually found out that there was overcounting of COVID deaths during the whole pandemic to, I don't know, do what? Promote a certain agenda? No. Now, again, why would CBS or other mainstream news centers like it be kind of beating around the bush around this whole topic of a rise in heart attacks in the younger groups of people ages 25 to 44? Could it be that maybe they're funded by certain companies like Pfizer, Moderna, etc.? Maybe, I don't know, you guys, it could have came from the vaccines, actually. What was that? Do we need to cut your funding? No, please, not our funding. We'll be good. We'll do exactly as you say. We'll keep pushing that story. Just please don't cut our funding. We need that so we can live and, have a life. We don't want to quit our life of luxury, so we have to keep living like 75% of the population where we'll own nothing and be happy. We don't want that. Oh, well, okay. Here you go. Oh yes. We'll keep promoting that story for you. Now, it's getting harder and harder for the mainstream to keep pushing this certain story. And that's because all this stuff's getting put out there at such an exponential level that they can't fact check it or thought police it, whatever you want to call it. I'd argue it's technically misinformation when you're doing this stuff, like they say all the time for anybody that speaks out against them. But you can't, it proves the fact of the matter, you cannot keep this shit from getting out. You cannot keep the truth from spreading. It's always going to get out one way or another. So like I say on here, it's always best to just keep it 1,000,000% real, because the truth always sets people free and it always takes care of people. You know, regardless of whether they're immediately going to like it or not, they will appreciate you in the long run for just telling them the cold hard truth. That's enough of what I think. What do you guys think? My adoring tribe members, new viewers, fans, etc. Let us know what you guys think about the cause for the whole rise in heart attacks amongst this younger group of people in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Now, as per usual, if you guys make it to the end, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Really does help us out here a lot, and also helps to get this information further out to other people, to let them know it's okay to question these things and to think independently of the systems we live in addition to, you know, understanding what's going on out there, unfiltered and uncensored, because that's the only way any actual good change will happen. As usual, too, if you guys made it to the end, go and leave the word truth in the comment section down below to let me know that you made it to the end and you guys are part of the 100% Club. Also, if you guys want a more interactive experience with us, come join us live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Central Time on stream, either on YouTube or on my Twitch/Facebook pages. All links will be down below. But we do things like talk about this stuff, play some Pokemon Unite, talk about other relevant conspiracies, make dark humor jokes, memes, etc. Just have a good quality bonding time together. Always love to have more people in there chatting it up and, you know, getting to have more of that one-on-one interactive experience. There's that, or you guys can join our Discord tribe where we have movie/food night every other Friday, like we did just recently here, where we watch cartoons, anime, documentaries on things like how Hitler didn't kill himself, and the CIA, FBI, and other intelligence communities of the world actually have investigations backing that, proving that he didn't actually do it. He didn't kill himself. Also, anime and a bunch of other good stuff too. Just really depends on our mood. We also, you know, have discussions about spiritual and philosophical things and just, you know, have a sense of community there. But nonetheless, though, my dudes, until next time, please don't forget to live long and prosper, take care and peace, keep it 1,000,000% real, and remember, fuck the system. I'll see you guys on the flip side.